All right, big question that has been floating around the interwebs today and yesterday is Delta finished hiring for 2024 already? Today is the 8th of January. We are 8 days into 2024, and word on the street is that Delta is finished hiring, or in their words, they have filled the 2024 flight attendant class. So, is that true? That's what I'm hearing. So, let's talk about it. First of all, this is not the first video that I thought that I would be making in 2024. I thought that, maybe it would be like a welcome video, but we're coming in hot. 2024, as far as flight attendant interviewing or flight attendant opportunities, is we don't have time for Happy New Year's, so we're just hitting the ground running. Delta opened applications on January 3rd, and then yesterday's when I saw it first, I started seeing on Facebook different. I want to say opinions. I don't mean that to be wrong, because turns out they're right, but they still were opinions, right? Because they're on the internet. Anything on the internet's an opinion, including this. Although I'm going to do my best to present you with the information that I know. It looked like that the word on the street was that Delta was no longer accepting applications for English only flight attendants, English only speaking flight attendants, but only hiring for load flight attendants, or LOD, which stands for language of destination bilingual flight attendants. So a flight attendant who speaks English, but also speaks a language of the country that the flight is going to, so that she or he can provide safety information and clarification and even customer service in a language that most of the plane would speak, most of the passengers would speak, if maybe they don't all speak English. So that's what a load flight attendant, or a language of destination flight attendant, that's what that means. So what I heard was that they were not hiring English only speaking flight attendants anymore, that they were only going to be hiring load flight attendants. So I was like, that's unusual, that the job listing would be open for such a short amount of time. Let me go to Delta's website, which is what you always do. You always apply on the airline's website. The airline's website is the information, right? So we hear things on the internet, but we go to the website, or we go to the email that the airline sent us. That's the information that we believe, right? So I went to the Delta website, and I looked at the job listing, and it's still up, and it says flight attendant, and it doesn't say load, or a certain language. So I opened up the job application, and in one of the first paragraphs, it says Delta is excited to be accepting applications for English speaking flight attendants, as well as load or bilingual flight attendants. So I was like, oh, okay, great. So it looks like they are still accepting applications for English speaking flight attendants, English only speaking flight attendants. And so I posted that on my Facebook group, Flight Attendant Career Connection. So I posted it in the Facebook group because the application was still live. I believe it's still live right now, even at the recording of this. I don't know if it's live while you're watching it, but right now it's still up, and they're still accepting applications without any qualifications as far as language goes. Okay. So I put that in my Facebook group and just said something about, to the effect that I had heard that maybe the application had closed, but it looks like it's open right now. So if you missed it, here it is. And then I started getting some comments. This is not correct information. This information is not true, which the only information I really said was that the job listing was up. So it was, it was up. But of course, I want to get to the bottom of it. So then there was some screenshots from some other Facebook groups from people who had shared that they knew someone who was in recruiting that had said that they were only accepting load applications, and so I was like, okay, but Facebook group, okay. And then I saw, though, someone posted a screenshot of their email that they had received back from Delta when they applied. And in this email, it does have the information about the class being full. So I was like, okay, so this is starting, the math is not mathing, right? So I do have a contact at Delta in the talent acquisitions department that I reach out to from time to time if I have questions. And she also will send me information sometimes when they're going to be opening the application, ask me to announce it, or just for clarification. But I don't bother her with every little rumor or thought or whispering on the internet. But I thought there was enough confusion that I needed to go ahead and email her. So I did. And she was so gracious to email me back. I emailed her last night. She emailed me back this morning right away. And this is what she wrote. Okay. Hi, Abby. Our 2024 is off to an exciting start. I hope yours is as well. You are correct. Our application is only accepting load, language of destination, bilingual flight attendant candidates. We received an incredible response from this posting and have reached the needed number of applicants to meet our training needs for 2024 classes. We will be opening a new requisition in the fall for our 2025 training classes, and I can give you a heads up when we start that planning process. So, okay. Again, this is still on the internet, but so I can't be like, but that's the information that I got back from the person, my point of contact at Delta, and it matches all the other things that we're hearing. So I felt good about that. And so I wanted to make this video to kind of talk about that, to clarify that, and also just to kind of talk about, like, what does that mean, and what should we be expecting, and is Delta done hiring? So here's the thing: is Delta done hiring for 2024? No, because they are still accepting applications for bilingual flight attendants, so they're not done. Also, even though this job application opened on January 3rd, that's the one we're kind of talking about, Delta started accepting applications in September, and it was communicated that this application in September was opening in anticipation for the 2024 hiring season. Okay. And so what they did this time around is they started accepting applications and interviewing candidates in September, and they're still interviewing them even this week. I had coaching with several clients that are headed to Atlanta this week for their face-to-face. So even though the application for right now is not accepting English only flight attendants candidates, they are still in the middle of hiring. So if you've already got your application in and you have not heard back from them in a way that closes the application out for whatever reason, then I don't want you freaking out. So if you've got an interview coming up, or if you're in the process, they are still hiring. They are still hiring. They haven't stopped hiring. They just feel like they have reached their goal for the number of applications that they needed to collect to get the number of flight attendants out of those applications that they need for their hiring goal for the year. Okay, so that's what happened. So we will continue to see people interview. We will continue to see people go to training. They haven't frozen training. They haven't stopped hiring. Saying it that way isn't quite accurate. All right. But they have stopped accepting applications. And I also asked her about the language in the application, because the application still says, it doesn't say anything about needing to speak a second language as a requirement. And I was surprised at that, because Delta is a very big and fancy company, and that's why I was a little skeptical about this whole, that's not really an application for English speakers. It's only really an application for bilingual candidates, because Delta has the means to put up a correct job listing. So I did ask her about the language, and she said that it's under review to be, that the changes have been submitted for review. And so later this week, we should see the language reflected correctly. Okay, so here's what you can do if you applied and either got this email back. I'll show you. Thank you for your interest in a career with Delta Airlines. We appreciate the time and effort you dedicated to applying for the English speaking flight attendant opportunity and wanted to personally provide you with an update. After careful consideration and a rigorous selection process, we have filled our English speaking flight attendant opportunity. Although we were unable to proceed with your application at this time, we value your experience and skill set. We anticipate to be publishing our flight attendant opportunity for our 2025 classes later this year and would like to stay in touch. Our talent team will reach out via email with an invitation to apply when a new job is published. In the meantime, we highly recommend you learning more about Delta, da 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 da. All right. So that, if you got that email, what that means, first of all, is that is not a thanks, but no thanks. It doesn't mean that you didn't meet the qualifications. It doesn't mean that they decided to go with other candidates. It means that by the time your application, it was your turn, your application's turn to be evaluated, they had stopped evaluating resumes and applications. And like it says, if you got an email like this, I know it's frustrating because you wanted to be moving through the process, but according to this response email, you will be notified, maybe even first. It doesn't say first, but I'm kind of thinking that's the vibe I'm getting, that you'll be notified, that they'll let you know when they're planning to open the application next time around. Also, your application is still on file. And what Delta, the reason that they stopped accepting applications for English only speaking people is because they've reached the number of applications that they think that they need to get the number of flight attendants that they think that they need out. So that could change too. Like, what if they don't get as many people as they thought? Or what if the candidates that they choose go with a different airline? Or what if they're not successful in training? Or what if they have more attrition than they thought, meaning more flight attendants retiring than they thought that they were going to have this year? You still already got your application in there. So I think that that's a good thing. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that or bad about that. The timing is disappointing. I know, I'm not trying to devalue that, but I'm glad that you got your resume in and your application in at all, because now you're on the list. So if you are watching this video and the new job posting is up by now and it isn't open for English only speaking candidates, I would encourage you to join the talent community, because you'll also be on the email list to get the information, to get the invitation or the announcement when they go to open the new application. So, or the new requisition number. So either way, whether you've applied and you've gotten this email that says, we're sorry, we didn't get to you in time, or if you are watching this later and you wish that you had gotten that email so that you could at least be on the list, go ahead and join the talent community so that you can get notified when they accept applications in the fall. In the meantime, there are still airlines hiring flight attendants, accepting applications for flight attendants. I'm going to put the link down below in the description of the link to the page of who's accepting applications on my website that we update regularly. I wish I could say daily, but it doesn't get done daily, but regularly. And it's got all the airlines on there. If it says accepting applications next to it, then they're accepting applications. But otherwise, all the airlines are listed there, and you can start to learn and discover maybe an airline that you had never heard of or you had never considered before, because it is going to be a while, it appears, before Delta is really accepting new applications again. So I know that that's disappointing, because we have been seeing such an amazing hiring boom from all the airlines, but especially Delta. I mean, it has been fast and furious. Maybe it's even been too fast or too furious. And so now they have applications that they're not even able to consider at this point. But they are still moving forward. They're still hiring. I don't want it to feel like this is a hiring it maybe is a slowdown, but that's only because we've been hiring. So, and by we, I mean aviation has been hiring so much over the last 2 years that this is going to be a slowdown, but it's more like a return to normal, is a better way to kind of think about it than a slowdown. So hopefully this video brings a little bit of clarification. I was surprised. I was surprised. And maybe because I was spoiled too, they have been accepting applications and hiring, so much over the last couple of years. But I don't want it to be anything that's discouraging, because get yourself on the email list. And in the meantime, if you're ready to become a flight attendant right now, while you're waiting, there are lots of airlines that are hiring. There are plenty of airlines that you could go work for in the meantime while you're waiting the next year or so before you would end up at Delta training your forever airline. And that's okay. Lots of people's flight attendant experience goes that way. So that's nothing to be, that's not a bad idea. That's not a bad way to go. Another thing is about, I did ask about the load positions, specifically which languages. So this is what she wrote me back. These may change. So of course, everything's subject to change. But right now, they're looking for Czech, Danish, Dutch, French, German, Greek, Hebrew, Italian, Korean, and Swedish speakers. So if you speak one of those languages at the fluent or native level, and you still have your eye on Delta, go for it. They're looking for you. They need you. They want you. There's a spot for you. So go ahead and do that. But I hope to have another video that maybe is a welcome to 2024 video coming at you soon. What we can expect. Is this trend that we're seeing? Is what we're seeing at Delta part of a bigger trend, or is it Delta specific? I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about it in another video. But thank you for watching. Please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. I'm Abby Unger, the owner of Flight Attendant Career Connection, and I help aspiring flight attendants land their dream job faster and with less frustration. Happy New Year. Welcome to 2024.